Hello and welcome to the Schninding Ding and Ding and Ding it. I'm sorry, no. This is the REV Your Agency podcast. We've got Peter Wood
with the rigamaroo.
Yeah, I put that up and turns out nobody wants anything from us except for every other moment of every other day.
That is factually accurate.
Like, dear God, it's like, and you know this, 100 damn messages a day. Hey, what about this? Hey, what about that? Okay. But when I'm like, hey, what do you want Peter and I to talk about in this month's Not So PC segment? Crickets.
That's funny. Brad and I, we have a open office hours call for all the Kraken agents, right? And he literally got like 3 or 4 phone calls during open office hours, which is on everybody's calendar, right? But like hey, do you have a couple minutes to talk? It's like, yes, I have 60 minutes to talk right now during this thing that's on your calendar. And I know it's there because I put it there.
This is literally the most freaking perfect lead-in to the topic I pre-picked.
Awesome.
But I feel like we need to build some rapport first.
Okay. Rapport away.
Rapport
into me.
How's your week been?
It's been all right. I got to
talked.
So we had kind of a full circle moment when Cassandra and I very first started dating. One of the first things I did was there was a couple things that she had in her life that were real simple fixes for me, but for her it was outside of her skill set. So like one of those things was her and Colin lived in this
shanty
casita on the back of this family's property. Yeah, that too. And their washer and dryer were on the patio in the backyard. And the little clip had broken. So to keep the dryer door shut, she just had a piece of packing tape that held the dryer door shut. And she would pull the tape, put the clothes in, close the door.
Already sound exactly like something Camille would do.
And for her, it didn't bother her. It was just like, whatever. This is just how we do laundry. And there was 3 or 4 things like that in a small amount of time. So the dryer door was one. She had a Mitsubishi Galant that it was like a 2003. The paint was straight up like sandpaper on this thing.
All of those Galants were, but those things were the best. Like when 08 hit, those were some of the best cars to buy cheap, do a valve job, and flip them for a profit.
Yeah.
Phenomenal cars.
So, but it's one of those things where it's like all those cars have the same exact problems. So number 1 is if you look at one of the paints not hammered, it's been repainted. Number 2 is for whatever reason, something happens with the gas door. It breaks, people take them off. So like if you look at that generation Galant, most of them are missing the gas doors and hubcaps break and fly off, right? But it's never like all 4 hubcaps. It's missing 1 or 2, sometimes 3 hubcaps, right? And so there was a couple things like that, like the missing gas door and the dryer, that when we very first started dating, I surprised her with. Like I went to a pick apart and got a new gas door for her car and didn't say anything. I just put it on the car. And then I went down to the appliance depot and it was literally like a 5-cent little plastic clip that just needed to be replaced. And then the dryer door stayed shut without the tape. So I replaced that thing too, right? And so there's a couple other things too, but I did 2 or 3 things all in the course of like 4 hours, but they were things that didn't really bother her, but she was super appreciative when I had done them, right? And I didn't tell her I did them. I just let her kind of stumble across it. And it was like, wait, when did you do that? It's like, I was like a week ago. When did you do that? It's like that same day. So we've come full circle because I had to fix Cassandra's dryer again this week. So I get a call yesterday and it's our text and it's like, hey, the dryer's broken. I'm like, oh, okay. What's broke on the dryer? And it's the knob, it's got like one of the D shaft deals that turns the knob. And the knob.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the knob split and not real obvious till you flipped it around. So I'm like, did the knob come off? She said, when I turn the knob, it doesn't do anything when I push start. I'm like, oh, okay. Did the knob come off in your hand? She's like, how did you know that? Like, cause that sounds like the knob just split open. That happens sometimes. Like take the knob off, flip it over and look and see if you can see like a hairline crack anywhere. And she's like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I can see there's one here and here. Okay. We just need a new knob. It's like, well, do you think that your mom would mind if I came over to do laundry? I need laundry for the weekend. Like, I'm sure my mom will be fine with that, but I'm also sure I can make the dryer work when I get home. Okay.
Pair of biceps on that Tang and
That's exactly right. That is 100% right. I tried with just regular pliers first, and I could not squeeze enough to hold it still. So I went out and got some vice grips and flip. I turned it, and she's like, "Oh, you got it started." Like, yeah. She's like, "Okay, well, how do I know where the thing's pointing?" It's like, well, wherever the top part of the vice grip is pointing to, that's the setting it's at. So we had a little vice grip training, and even though I ordered the new knob already, it's supposed to be here. Well, it's supposed to be here 3 hours ago, but it didn't show up yet. But yeah, it's funny. I had a full circle moment. I'm back to fixing Cassandra's dryers.
And she's in love with you all over again.
All over again.
And she freaking should be. She should be.
Dude, I've had a few days of fixing and putting stuff together at the house. So Peter has a set of headphones for school, and like the pad that goes underneath the headband was all pulled out. I'm like, oh, that's weird. And it literally just clicked back into place. But one of the pads on the earpiece was totally off, right? And so I went out in the garage and I looked at it for a couple minutes, like, all right, I just pop this thing apart. So I was able to pop the insert out and put the earpiece back on and put it all back together. And, Peter's like, how did you fix this? Like, I just took it apart and put it back together. He's like, how did you break this? He's like, well, I dropped him. And when I dropped him, the earpiece came off just a little bit. And I'm like, and then you pulled on it the rest of the way? He's like, yeah, of course you did. Okay, cool.
Isn't it good to be needed, though?
It is.
Needed. Well,
Did I tell you? So I set the bar kind of high with costumes for the boys.
yeah. I noticed that when I first met you and your children would come into the room while we were doing a group Zoom call and they had dinosaur heads on for no reason. It wasn't Halloween. Like, it was just no reason.
That reminds me of that video. Jensen walking in with this inflatable dinosaur costume.
He's Godzilla this year. He's an inflatable Godzilla, and you bet your ass I'm going to get some fart spray to put in that fan. I'm going to do it.
So the boys have a talent show tonight at their school that they both had to try out for. They both got picked, and they've had practices for like the last 3 weeks. And they're both singing, right? And Peter is singing a Weezer song. He's singing Hero. And so he's dressing up like a superhero. He's got a cape and a mask and stuff. Harrison is doing a song from the new Wonka movie. So he wanted to dress up like Willy Wonka.
Well, there's chocolate and there's chocolate. If I like it, I'll put it in my frickin' pocket. Something like that.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. So he's singing little noodle apple strudel. And he's like, Daddy, can I dress up like Wonka? I'm like, piece of cake. Yep. He's like, okay, well, at the beginning of Willy Wonka, how like he's walking out of the factory with his cane and his cane gets stuck and like he does a somersault forward and then pops up. It's like, can I do that? And I'm like, so what are you asking for? He's like, I want a cane that when I stick it in the ground, it just stands straight up. I'm like,
oh shit.
I'm like, okay, I'm sure we can make that work. I'm like, so
are you doing one of the geriatric canes with the 4 little feet on the bottom?
I thought about that. I went a different direction.
Okay.
I went out into the garage and I got a piece of sheet metal that's, I don't know, like 6x8. And I put some felt pads on the bottom so it wouldn't mess up the gym floor. And then I spray painted it where it'll blend in with the floor pretty well. And then the end of his cane, I got a magnet that's exactly the right diameter for the end of the cane and glued it on there. So he walks by and literally just touches it to the metal, lets go, and it goes ding. And then he full-blown ugly cried the other night because apparently I missed the memo and he wanted a red carpet to roll out for him to walk down to do the somersault on and didn't say anything until Tuesday night, so 2 nights ago, and the thing is tonight, right? And he is just sobbing. I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, Mommy said I can't get a red carpet for my talent show. I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, now it's ruined. I don't know that it's ruined, dude, but everybody there, it's gonna be fine. You're gonna have a good time. You're gonna sing really good. Your cane's gonna do the cane thing.
It should have told me because REV just so happens to have a red carpet. We haven't pulled out since the first RevCon, and I don't know what to do with it. You can frickin' have it. It's a little late at this point, but I could have overnighted that to you. I could have met you in Wickenburg.
We're gonna have lunch
in Wickenburg. What is there for lunch in Wickenburg? Circle K?
Burger King?
Is there a Burger King?
I think so.
Oh, geez, dude. That's awesome. I'm excited for your kid, man. You're a good dad. Good husband, shitty lover, but we can't all be everything.
Can't be everything to everyone. How about you, man? How's your week?
I feel like it's been more productive than I'm willing to give it credit for at the moment. It's felt really slow, but also as I've gone back through all my notes and I've just checked a lot of crap off that has been waiting to be checked off, you know?
Yeah.
And so there's not a lot of like frontline productivity, but there's just a huge amount of getting caught up that we've gotten done this week. So stoked about that. I can't talk too much about my home life because Camille will kill me because she can't stand how when the boys are in a place of histrionics and losing their shit, how I bring them back to a place of do this now or I will paddle your ass, and they do it. So that's kind of a conversation at the moment. But I sent her a picture and like everything's coming together. This week is going to end on point.
Going to end on a high note.
For those of you wondering what kind of picture, it was Richard Simmons. Like, get over yourself. Dude, I'm going to abruptly transition us to this topic.
Go for it.
I feel like I woke up today and chose violence. Today, I want to talk about bullshit excuses agents have. And I have a few of them.
Yeah, I got a few of those too.
I want to throw them out there to you. And I want your honest feedback. The feedback being why, not necessarily how do we overcome it. And we can talk about that too. But why the hell this is an excuse. And it's like the ones I have written down, they are so common. It makes me want to puke. So I want to talk about why it's so common. I think it's kind of the theme.
Yeah.
You feel like playing this game with me?
Yep. Can we have Aiden, can you ask me a question like bullshit or not? And if it is, Aiden chimes in like a ding, ding, ding and a little graphic.
We'll see what Aiden does with this. I kind of give him two of these. But dude, all right. We're going to kick this off.
Ready.
Bullshit excuse number one of why insurance agents don't have the life, the agency, the production, the money. They don't have anything of what they want. I don't have time.
Yeah, it's bullshit. For most agents. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
It is. I'm trying to remember who I was just talking to somebody about this.
Was it Tyler? It's always a freaking
Tyler. No, it was my buddy Brennan. And so Brennan was a former student of mine, did the drumline stuff. I taught him when he was in high school, and super smart kid, is out doing really good stuff now. I showed him how to use Go High Level to do some marketing. He's got a marketing degree, but showed him how to use that to do some marketing stuff. And so we were talking about people that are busy, right? Because he's trying to herd some cats right now. Some of my drumline friends he partnered with, and they have this business that runs educational clinics and stuff, right? Brennan designed this app that is super helpful for rudimental percussion kids. And so we're talking, and he was basically saying that, hey, they're having a really hard time putting the stamp on the envelope on some stuff because everybody is so busy. And I'm like, yeah, no, I get that. It's like the thing for me is like, if it's important enough, I will make time to do it. You know, if it's actually a priority and I actually put first things first, I'll make time to make it happen. Now, sometimes to do that means that I'm doing stuff in non-ideal times. You know, like I'll get home late at night, and if I have something that needs to get done at the house, I'll go ahead and spend time with the boys and Cassandra and get them all off to bed, Cassandra included, and then I'll go out in the garage and work on it for a couple hours to get that thing done so it doesn't take time away from family time, because that's a non-negotiable. Like I want to spend time with Cassandra and the boys. But I also know these other things have to get done. It's like, okay, well, I can either include them in that thing, right, and double dip a little bit on some time, some things, or I can do it when they're not around. I could do it late at night. I could do it early in the morning. But for me, it's more about managing your calendar, because like if you don't respect your time, nobody else is going to.
Dude.
And so I live and die by my calendar. Like if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. So I think Matt Daly said it best. Our good buddy Matt Daly. Quit calling things a priority unless you're going to prioritize them. Like, stop with the bullshit. Don't wonder why you're not having the results you're not having from the work you're not actually fucking doing when you fail to prioritize the things you're calling priorities, right? Or the things that are verifiably priorities. The reason this was literally number one, I have talked to 3 agents so far this week. By the way, some of these agents, in fact, 2 of these agents have been in the business for over 20 years. One of these agents has run an entire freaking region for an insurance carrier. Great friend of mine, not out to crap talk, but it's like, oh, I don't have time to do that. Really? That's a 5-minute freaking task. How do you not have time? Bare minimum, there's 40 hours in a week, but you don't get to sit here and call yourself a motivated individual and hold yourself to 40 hours. That's not how that works, right?
Right.
And so anyways, dude, we get into this, and just yesterday, it finally comes out. I introduced this dude to a small program called Calendly in 2017. We went back and found the text message. 2017, I introduced him to Calendly. It's now 2025. end of 2025. He hasn't set
8 years ago.
He hasn't set it up.
Yep.
I got him to set it up yesterday, and I've already gotten a text today. He's already told me it's already saved him 2 hours today. Today. Don't freaking tell me you don't have the time when you don't do the things that might be necessary or might just be a good idea to reclaim your freaking time. Like, God, man, it's crazy to me how far off we are on priority.
Well, I heard something at a conference I was at last week that really kind of hit the nail on the head with, look, there's only two things you can do with your time. You can spend it or you can invest it. And just the fact that you show up to the office and you're in the saddle for 8 hours, if the time that you're sitting in front of your computer for 8 hours is spent, number one, in front of your computer and not talking to people and doom scrolling YouTube videos and Facebook, it's like, well, you just spent time. You didn't invest time. Like, investing time would be, man, put together a marketing list, maybe work on your business instead of just in your business. I thought that was pretty profound statement that, yeah, you're either investing time or you're spending it. You can't do both at the same time. It's one or the other.
Like I say, I woke up today and chose violence. That's on me. And I've got some bones to pick with my little short list here, but I don't want this to be a negative episode.
Yeah.
I think everybody that thinks they're too busy to do a thing ought to do a time audit and realize how much time they're freaking wasting. Like, you are so full of shit, even you're buying it. Have you ever seen a dog crap turn around and eat its own turd? I have. And that's what agents are doing. Like, it is, freaking awful.
Yeah. I was going to say unpopular opinion here, but when I have had agents reach out for help and they say they're too busy, I ask them to see their calendar. Like, hey, show me just real quick, pull up your calendar on your phone. And it's like, well, what are you doing between 1 and 5?
Well, because this is a 30-minute project, tops.
Yeah, because there's nothing on the calendar in that 4-hour window. And they're like, oh, well, I need to be available in case the phone rings. Like, what? Like, sure.
In this business, nothing is an emergency. Everything should be treated with urgency. You do not need to sit there in front of that phone. There's not fucking shit you could do anyways.
Dude, I tried calling a doctor's office, 2 different doctor's offices today on my lunch hour, like on my way to meet my buddy Paul for lunch. And both of those places, I got their auto attendant. Both of them said, we are closed until 1 o'clock for lunch. And neither one of them would even let me leave a voicemail. Like, guess what? I'm still going to call back within their business hours and make the appointment because it's important enough to me to do that, right? That is the definition of knowing and respecting and protecting your time.
Well, and what I do want to point out here too is, like, when you say, oh, we're closed for lunch, everybody's immediately thinking, oh, they're closed so that they can go to Jimmy John's and this. Sometimes no. Sometimes they're closed for lunch. We order Jimmy John's in and I'm sitting there doing, oh, I don't have time to sit down with my staff and actually hold them accountable so that they're worth the money I'm paying them. Lunch, like, holy freaking crap. If you really think what they do is so far different from what you're trying to do, then you're up in the night. But I agree. And you said it. I've said it for years. Like, if you don't respect your calendar, why the hell would anybody else? If you're not intentional with your time, why would anybody else be? It's pretty incredible to me. But again, I don't want this to be an episode of negativity. I want it to be an episode of action.
It's not negativity. It's not negativity. If you hear the message and feel like it's a negative thing, I would challenge you to dig in a little bit and ask yourself, why do you feel like this is a negative conversation? Is it because you resemble those remarks? Probably. Words are just words. The message is just the message. What you take out of it is the difference between agent A and agent B,
So that's the tactical here. If we were to give somebody, and this may be somebody who's in REV who has access to some of the closed group trainings and resources, but it might also be somebody who's stumbling across us for the first time, Peter. So if you're talking to somebody who you weren't sure if they had access to some of that stuff, lives inside of what we do. If you could give them 1-2 piece of advice, like if they're sitting there saying to themselves, I don't have time to do that really important thing that's going to move me forward. What 1 or 2 pieces would you give them? Let's get tactical about it. We'll move on to the next piece.
Yep.
But I agree with your challenge, and I apologize to everybody that I'm so ornery today. Sometimes sometimes I'm just like that. Let me not build on that because it's going to go somewhere controversial. But I apologize for the tone I'm coming off with, Peter. I'm glad you're here because, again, I echo your sentiment. If you're mad about it, it's probably because you're guilty of it, to be candid. So what could somebody do to move past that in an effect?
I think there's three super simple things. The first one you already hit on is do a time audit. And it takes a little time to do a time audit, but it literally just means write down every single thing that you did all day long, right? And then go back and look at that and go, okay, was this really 8 hours worth of stuff? Or did I let 2 hours worth of stuff turn into 8 hours, right? The second thing I would do is I would do some time blocking, which is just take your calendar and prioritize and go, okay, I have to do these types of things every week. Maybe you don't need to do everything every day, but throughout the course of the week or the month, these are the non-negotiables. Like I have to do this stuff. I have to prospect. I have to do some marketing. I have to do some appointments. I have to have time for continuing education, just for my own edification. I need time with my family. I need time to do podcasts, whatever it is, right? Jot all that stuff down and then go through on a calendar and just time block and say, okay, from this time to this time on this day, I'm going to do this thing. And then the next time slot from this time to this time, I'm going to do this thing, right? You get to pick what goes where, but go through and have all of your time accounted for across the week, right? And then have a backup plan. If I don't have to do this thing in this window, because let's say I schedule time to have appointments and I don't have appointments, then what? It's not just free time, right? It's not time for YouTube. It's not time for Facebook. If I don't have appointments, why don't I have appointments? It's because I need to talk to more people to get them scheduled. So if I hit that time slot and that thing doesn't need to happen, then I know what I'm going to fill it with. Okay. If I was supposed to have an appointment and I don't have an appointment, I need to spend some time prospecting, right? So tomorrow when I hit this time slot again, it's not blank, right? And then the third thing is I would set up some kind of calendar like the Calendly thing you talked about, because that's one of the best ways to protect your time too, is like you get to put guardrails on that and go, I am open, willing, and available to talk to you. And you can give different people different access to the calendar and go, hey, look, it's a 10-minute conversation. Great. You send them a link that allows them to book within those time frames that you put on your time blocking, right? Like, hey, I'm going to be okay with, like, I time block time to help agents, right? I have time from 3 to 4 every day, right? I try not to book stuff in that window. And if agents from literally anywhere need help, they can book with me in that time. But if I don't have anybody fall in that window, then I know it's like, okay, I'm going to do some prospecting in that window. But setting up something like a Calendly or, Google has a free version of that kind of thing now. If you're using Go High Level, it has a functionality like that. Lots of different ways, but I would do a time audit, time blocking, and then set up some kind of scheduling calendar. Those 3 things would save you a ton of time.
Ton of time. Dude, it's crazy to me how many people. So this one gentleman I'm talking about, he makes $500,000 a year. $500,000 a year. So he's not in a destitute position. I spent more time talking him into the $14 per month paid version of Calendly so that it could cross-check multiple calendars because he has multiple businesses and he could have multiple appointment types instead of just the free version of Calendly. $14 a month. He makes $500,000 a year. We spent more time talking him into spending the $14 a month than it took to actually set it up and literally in one day save 2 hours. Now imagine if we could do that, like $500,000 per year. What is he worth per hour? Right. And then that per hour, if we could save 2 hours a day, every day, it's 10 hours a week. If we're talking about thousands of dollars per week.
Yeah.
And $14 a month. Like, holy crap. Which leads me into my next bullshit excuse. I don't have enough money to go make money because it takes money to make money.
That's also bullshit.
It's why, Peter, that's why I started knocking the first million I made. You know my story. The first million we made knocking doors. We made knocking doors. Why? Because knocking doors was freaking free. I couldn't afford anything else, but I could walk out of my office door, walk across the street and bang on that door. And that person was forced to talk to me because I was there. Right.
Yeah.
So
there are definitely some situations where you do need some money to make money for sure, but most of the time you can replace that money with some effort. How you're spending your time makes a difference. So like, for example, if you're running a program like the Parma program, right? Where the pension and retirement maximization appointments. There's a couple different ways to get in front of those types of people, right? Way number one. So the program, just for anybody that doesn't know, the program is for public employees, people like school teachers, government employees, police officers, firefighters, stuff like that. People that work at local government offices, somebody with a pension, with a government pension. We sit down with them and we show them what their pension gap looks like and then help them solve for that pension gap, right? One way to have those kinds of appointments is to go through a lead vendor like LG4, and you can pay for leads, right? And they're, I don't know, like $70 a piece, right? And if somebody says, well, I don't have the $70 to spend on that, so therefore I can't do that. It's like, well, no, the $70 that you're paying for is convenience. It's a convenience fee is really what it is. Is, hey, you need people to talk to about this very specific thing, this niche market. There's a company out there that will put them on your calendar and get you an appointment with somebody that fits the demographic you're looking for. But in exchange for that, because they did the legwork, they're going to take a little bit of money, right? So how do you get those kinds of appointments without paying for leads? Well, I mean, like in my case, I'm a multi-line agent. I have clients that fit that bill. I have clients that are school teachers and public employees that I could have that same targeted conversation with. I just need to go look them up and then call them. It doesn't cost me anything to do.
Wait,
if you have
the opportunities that are in your ecosystem.
Yeah. Like you have friends, families, neighbors that work at school districts. Like that's just a conversation, you know?
You don't need 100 of them, right? You need 3 because those 3 turn into 9 and those 9 turn into 27 and those 27, like.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it was one of the things that we were just talking about that one of the speakers was talking about at the conference last week was like using AI to generate lead lists, right? So in this particular example, they were talking about like, hey, I want to know who are all of the landscapers that have a business and service this zip, right? You go into ChatGPT and put it in there and it goes, here you go. It's like, great. Now give me that same list, but give me the name of the business owners. Here you go. And so now you've got a good starting point. Now you can go do some internet stalking, right? If ChatGPT can't fill in all the blanks, you can go through and put together a list of 500 people to call in an hour.
But wait, Peter, I don't have time and I don't have the money.
That doesn't cost you any money.
But I don't have the time.
Well, I would say that if you really don't have the time for that, then this is probably not a big enough problem for you to solve.
You say it nicer than I do.
Yeah. I mean, it's no different than talking to prospects about the services that we offer, right?
Dude, I like to, I mean, you've heard it. I like to tell like, what the hell are you so busy with? All the success you're not having? Shut the hell up. Get to work. Like,
yeah.
You happen to be more kind than I am, but it's the same message at the end of the day. Like, it's not, if you can't make the time for this, it's not important to you. I think that's a really crucial thing to point out here.
Yep. Yeah. If the problem is big enough and it hurts enough, you will figure out ways around it.
Yeah. If it hurts enough. I think that's a good lead in because the pain, everybody avoids the work because the perceived pain of actually doing that work. But when the pain of the results you're having by not doing it exceed the pain of actually doing the work, you do the work or you find something else to do for a living.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's a lot of free resources, free opportunities. So action items. If somebody felt like they didn't have the money, so they couldn't sell, what would you tell them to do?
I think the first thing that I would tell them to do is get real crystal clear on what are they trying to sell and who are they trying to sell it to, you know, because if you're going to go hunting, like you need to make sure that you're going to go fishing, you got to make sure you got the right lure, you got the right bait to attract the right kind of fish.
Well, I think you need to decide, are you hunting or are you fishing? Like you don't go fishing with a 30-06.
Yeah. Yeah. Most people don't.
Well,
some people might.
Yeah, some.
Yeah. But being real clear about what your goals are, you know, because then it's the difference between marketing and advertising, right? It's like you can approach it with a sniper rifle instead of shotgun and go, I want to talk to these people about this kind of thing. So I think step 1 is define who your target market is and what you're trying to sell to. And then from there, find a way to get where those people are at, you know, which could be, hey, ask somebody else that's doing what you're doing that's successful. How do you get in front of people?
was just about to ask, if you were an agent sitting here beating your head against the wall, how do I figure this out? And you're like, okay, I'm determined to do it, but I'm drawing blanks. What, if you didn't have money, what resources are there to go get those answers?
Yeah. The first one is there's this group called the REV Agency Syndicate, or even just winning an insurance, right? What you need is, it was funny. When I was at that conference, I went across the street, just across the highway was an In-N-Out Burger. And I went over with some friends, and one of the friends saw this group of teenagers sitting at a table, and he was going over and just poking at those kids, trying to get them excited about being insurance agents when they grow up. And so he tells them, he's like, hey, listen, the guys over this table, they make somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million a year. If you want to know how to do that, you guys should come over and talk to them and just ask the questions. Like, ask them, hey, how did you do that? What would you recommend? What's your advice? And just poke. And he's relentless. And these kids are going to walk up and leave, right? They're going to get ready to leave. And he's like, don't you leave without coming over and asking these guys. I'm telling you, it's a golden opportunity and you're going to squander it. And, he's saying it with a smile, but the boys come over and they're like, okay, well, if you had one or two pieces of advice, what would you tell us? And so everybody goes around and kind of shares their thing. And I'm like, I got two things for you. The first one is, no matter what you decide you want to do, if you want to be the best at it, you need to find a mentor, right? Because that person is going to help you get further faster because they've already been through it. They know the answers to the test. You just have to talk to them, right? You got to find the right mentor too, right? They need to be well-intentioned, and because there are people out there in all walks of life that will prey off of people like that. But you could also end up with a mentor like I did, like the guy, Cliff, that just happened to pluck my resume off the internet. I couldn't have paid for a better mentor, So step one is find a mentor, find a good mentor. And unless they ask you to do something illegal, immoral, unethical, just shut up and do it. Do what they ask you to do the way they asked you to do it, because that's what they did to get results. I guarantee if you do what they did and put the same kind of effort into it, you will get similar results. You couldn't be bad enough not to. And then the second thing is, when you go off to work for somebody, you take a job as a W-2 employee. Obviously, the bigger the company is, the more spread out it is from you to the owner. But when you take a job somewhere, you are betting on the business owner. You're betting that they're going to be able to do what they need to do to make payroll every week, every 2 weeks, every month to let you continue to be gainfully employed and do your stuff, right? So man, if you're going to bet on somebody, why not bet on you? Why not bet on yourself? Like, if somebody's going to be out there making money doing these cool things, invest in you. Bet on you being the one that's going to be able to get that done. Because if you have a good mentor and you're putting the energy and effort in on your own thing, like, nobody's going to be as invested in your thing as you are, So I think those two things are huge, right? So similar kind of thing. It's like, now those two kids don't have any experience in our industry. They probably won't even end up in insurance, but it's applicable no matter what you're going to do, where you're going to do it. It's, hey, look, find a mentor. Sometimes that mentorship comes with a little bit of expense. Sometimes you have to pay a subscription fee to do it. Sometimes you have to pay to joint work. Like, hey, I'll give you a piece of every deal that I do if you're going to help me get these opportunities closed. Sometimes you just, again, dumb luck, you happen to stumble across the right person and they're there to help you and it doesn't cost you anything, except for maybe a little bit of your time. But the same thing is true. Like, go out, if you're struggling, go out and find a mentor. You need a community to bounce ideas off of and to be able to ask. You're not in this thing alone. You're not on an island unless you choose to be holed up on an island. The more people that are successful doing the thing, like, that's one of the things I love about our industry is the people at the very, very top of the totem pole. They will make time to talk to other new up and coming agents and help them because somebody along the way helped them. Have you ever heard anyone say that Van Miller, David McKnight, whoever would not talk to me because they were too busy for me? No, never.
That's how I literally spent an hour on the phone yesterday with some dude. I have no idea who the hell he was, but a mutual friend introduced us and he's trying to figure out, he wants to get into public speaking and he's a commercial insurance agent who wants to sell more commercial insurance. He's like, he's been doing that for 3 years and he's a good agent. How do I close the gap and sell more commercial insurance through public speaking? We spent like an hour on the phone yesterday going over, okay, if you were going to do it, like understand the game plan, right? And maybe I'm not the most qualified to share value with him, but I think he got a lot from that call. So I have one final question for you on that topic. And then I think we have just a couple minutes for one final one of these. My last question to you is this. So you mentioned there's a few different ways to get that mentor. Sometimes you have to pay out of pocket for them. Sometimes you have to be willing to give them a slice of every one of your deals. Sometimes you have to be willing to put your contracts underneath them so that they overwrite you, even though you don't give up a slice of that deal. And sometimes you just trip into them. I feel like an obnoxious number of agents go without mentorship because they're holding out for the mentor they trip into. Hindsight being 2020, would you hold out for the mentor you tripped into? If Cliff hadn't been there for you in the beginning, hindsight being 2020, would you recommend waiting around for a Cliff, or what would you do to get into where you are now if he hadn't been there?
If I would have waited around for somebody, had Cliff not existed, and I had waited around, I would probably not still be in this industry. I think that really is like Cody's thing, the Cody Askins thing, the 8% Nation. It's like, that name is that name for a reason. It's because 92% of all new agents are gone within a couple of years. You know, I think anybody that's been in this business for more than a couple of years has seen a whole slew of people come and go in that short amount of time. Yeah, it's important enough that I think that it really needs to be priority number one. Can you do it without a good mentor? Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Is it exponentially more difficult? Yes. Yeah, because role modeling goes a long way. Like that was one of the things Cassandra and I were talking about homeschool with the boys. And I think there's lots of good reasons to do it. One of the things that I struggle with a little bit is like, I think one of the things that you could miss out on that is role modeling, right? And sometimes role modeling is not always positive also. But if I'm explaining something to Peter, and he's not getting it in a traditional classroom setting, he might see something that Johnny does that clicks for him. It's like, oh, okay, I just got to do it this way, right? And I'm saying the same things, just slightly different, and it just doesn't resonate with him, right? That happened with me with cash value life insurance. Like I was in the business for 4 or 5 years before I really saw the value on cash value life insurance for anything outside of final expense planning. I went to a training in Denver, and it was an optional thing on a Saturday morning. Like you were there for 2 or 3 days, and they had this optional training with this guy, Guy Jones, and he called it his non-qualified retirement strategy, which was just using an IUL for retirement, right? For supplemental retirement plan. And I sat in this room, in this basement of this office complex, and listened to this guy, and it was like the clouds parted and the sun shone through and the angels sang, and I was like, oh, I get it. I can explain that to people. I can sell that to people. I went out into the parking lot and called Cliff, and I called my buddy Lars and was just like, you are not going to believe what I just learned about, and just speaking 100 miles a minute because I was all sorts of fired up about it. And Cliff was like, well, Peter, I told you about that. And I'm like, my response to him was, not like this, you didn't. And I'm positive Cliff probably did tell me about this stuff, right? But I didn't have somebody there role modeling it for me that I resonated with, right? And I think that's one of the values of that mentorship, is that you get to see somebody do it and go, oh, okay, yeah, I can do that. I
love that. I think we're about out of time. I don't know that we have time for one more, unless you want to hang out a little extra long for one more.
We got a couple minutes.
Which one do I want to feed you here? This one. I wish I was less prejudiced, but I can't run my agency that way because that aligned with my core values, and all I'm surrounded by is redheads, and I will not sell insurance to them.
Yeah, redheads are tough.
I kid. Which one do I want to do though? My upline screwed me. I think that's the one I want to roll, because that's the one some of these others over the years I've heard incessantly, like the lead stock but that one recently has been, it feels like it's making a reemergence. So my upline screwed me. In other words, I didn't have a Cliff.
Yeah, I think that one's rough, man. Because there's really two situations, right? There's captive and independent. If you're in an independent channel, then maybe it's time to find a different upline, you know? Like If you're in a captive
And if
model,
you can't stay with the same company to find a different upline, move to a different goddamn company. It is that easy. It happens like that. Oh, well, they told me I can. I have non-competes. No, that shit doesn't exist. It's a lie. We've broken it up 100 freaking times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times. They're liars. If you're independent, you can go anywhere you want, whenever you want.
yeah. On the captive side of things, there are options there too. One of them being having conversations about, is it possible to get assigned to somebody else? Like I have some real challenges with this individual. Is that an option? And in some cases it is, and in some cases it's not.
I was going to say, what are you doing? It's not. That's one of the reasons I left.
I think when it's not, you have a couple options there too.
Yeah.
Option one is, just because you're in that person's downline doesn't mean that you need to necessarily work directly with them.
Yeah.
Right. If what you're looking for is education and collaboration, you can get that outside. You can find your own, again, mentor, kind of same thing.
Well, it's funny. This education and collaboration outside, it might cost, what do we charge? $100 a month for that? And everybody wants a 6-figure career, but they don't want to spend 1% to get that outside when they're lacking it inside. So go back to priorities. Don't tell me you actually want it unless you're going to evidence that in some way, shape, or form.
Man, that's how I found Rev in the first place, where it was like I had an amazing mentor in Cliff, and then Cliff retired in April of 2020. And at that time, the captive multi-line carrier that I was riding with, I said, "Hey, we're going to get you assigned to a new MLGA, but we're in the process of recruiting and acquiring this person." I said, okay. Well, next thing you know, it's been 2.5 years and I still am on the island of misfit toys. Right. And at that point was finally able to get through and be heard and get some stuff changed, where I got assigned to Bruce's team, my current MLGA, which is who I was supposed to go to 2.5 years prior. Right. So it is possible to move within that kind of thing. But I joined Rev in that window because one of the things that I know about myself is I need collaboration, and I need people to bounce ideas off of. I'm more than capable at selling, but I need a community, and not only for what I get out of it, but I am literally wired to provide value to people. That's just like, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's fixing cars, teaching drums, insurance, baseball, whatever, at the core of my being, I
did not put you on this crap type. Peter's got you. No.
And so, but that's how I found Rev. It's like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do differently this year than I did last year, but I know what I'm not doing again. I'm not doing that thing that I just did because I wasn't successful at it. Like I need some guidance. I need a mentor because I didn't have one. And a lot of people are quick to jump to this one. But I think at the end of the day too is, hey, look, if the challenges you have are so insurmountable, it might be time to find something else to do, which if you're working with again, if you're a captive agent, it's no different. The advice is no different if you're captive or independent. It's if your core values don't align with the people that you're working with and the people you chose to surround yourself with, maybe you need to surround yourself with some different people, and that's really the only time from a captive agency standpoint that I think that it's time to cut bait and go, is when your core values don't align with theirs anymore. You're not going to fix that.
The one I would add to that is core focus. If the thing the only way you are going to find fulfillment in doing what you're doing, the thing you're most trying to accomplish in this world, if you can't accomplish it because as a direct result of where you're at, then you need to realign also.
Yeah.
But those two things, core values, core focus.
Yeah. And that's different than, hey, there was a change in my product line.
Right.
That's different than our rates aren't competitive, or
if my core focus was I'm going to be the number one agency in this organization, and that's my core focus, it doesn't matter what they change their shit to.
No.
My core focus means I need to pivot. If my core focus is I'm going to be the number one home and auto agency in the freaking world, and then my company decides to quit writing home and auto insurance, well, I obviously cannot accomplish my core focus by being aligned with this company. And so I must needs make a change. Like it has to happen. But I think that's a really good point you make. Like just because they pivot doesn't mean you're out of alignment on your core focus unless your core focus wasn't something you were being honest about in the first place. Right. So action item out of that before we wrap up. if you feel like your upline has screwed you, what should somebody do? If they are stuck, they're not producing, they're not making money, they're not seeing success, and that's the primary point of topic for them, what should they do?
Well, I'm a firm believer of I don't choose to be confrontational, but I'm direct a lot of the time. Like if it's pretty rare that you don't know what I'm thinking about. And I've learned to deliver. I'm trying to remember, there was KPD used to do this thing where it was like happy messages over angry music or something like that, where they take this juxtaposition of things and just throw it on top of each other. So I've gotten better at delivering messages and asking questions that might catch some people a little on the offensive with a smile or a joke. So it kind of lightens the blow a little bit, and I still get to ask my question. So I think the first thing that I would do is the same way that I'd approach it in any other situation. If I felt that somebody had wronged me, is I would have a conversation with that person first and foremost.
Dude, I just have to say real quick, as you're explaining this juxtaposition and the happy music, I'm literally thinking Chicago happy, undertones, quiet, so happy, huh? Right? And then over the top of that, it's like, hey, this is Chipotle. We're sorry, we fucked up your salad. That's what's going in my mind.
Just like that. Just like that.
You said
nailed
chicken,
it.
and what we heard was steak.
I heard tofurkey. Sorry.
Oh my gosh. You wanted a ham Thanksgiving, and what you got was a turducken. That you're with me. Tell me you will stay. Make me smile. Oh, come on, Peter. That's literally, I'm sorry. You said that, and it just started going off in my head like a firework.
That's okay.
Continue the value.
What were we talking about? Knocked my hamster right off the wheel, Carson Porter.
I see a gerbil and I backhand it. You never backhanded a gerbil once in your career, Peter?
Yeah, once. Gosh dang.
You're going to have to put that on the shirt, aren't you?
Probably.
We were talking specifically, but maybe not entirely.
What to do when your upline does you dirty.
Yeah, when they do you dirty.
Okay. Yeah. So step one is have a conversation with the person, right?
Be direct.
Yep. Might just be a misunderstanding.
Don't be a douche, but be direct.
Yeah. Next thing would be figure out like, okay, is this really something I'm okay with going forward? And then figure out how you want to move forward. Like, can I continue to be where I'm at and do the things that I'm doing under this person or not? If the answer is yes, then figure it out. If the answer is no, then figure it out. Like, time to go. I went to an ag and commercial school a long time ago when I first started. Like, I just finished my first year.
Long time ago in a northeast far, far away.
Yep. And at lunchtime, we're all sitting around, and it was me and like 14 other agents. And they started talking about their general agents, their upline, right? And I heard horror story after horror story after horror story. I can never get that guy to respond to emails. He doesn't answer the phone. He's too busy golfing. One agent said, yeah, my MLG, my upline said that, hey, if you need me to joint work stuff with you, I'll do that. But we're going to do a 90-10 split, and I'm taking the 90. And this is for something these people already got a 30% override on, right? And then they get around to me and they're like, well, how's your guy? And I'm like, oh, my guy's awesome. Like, I share an office with him. He's right down the hall. Whenever I have a question, I can just walk down and ask. Like, he goes on appointments with me. We do role playing. He got me involved in NAIF. Like, I am sorry that you guys don't have the kind of experience that I had, because everybody deserves a cliff. So, but if you're not getting that, then it might be time to reevaluate.
And I've always been hesitant to push that. Like, I would rather see people be successful where they are doing the things they're doing, but doing them better. But yeah, when you can't live in your values or accomplish your core focus, then you got to go.
Yep.
You have to go. Otherwise you will implode and you're going to go back to work for General Mills, bagging
Lucky Charms,
Blueberry Morning, Honey Bunches of Oats. If you're in Canada, Vector. We've got some Canadians that listen in, so we had to throw in a token. Well, Peter, as we wrap this up here, having lived the last 30 days, being one of the most badass people I know in the insurance business, and being like you literally set time daily on your schedule aside to help other agents.
Yep.
So I know for a fact you talk to a lot of other agents. And knowing that another 30 days is going to continue to happen before you and I get back together and we do another one of these, what would you say to the insurance world to help them move their needle forward?
If you're going to be successful in any game, you got to understand what the rules of the game are that you're playing. And as soon as you understand what the rules of the game are, you can be more competitive. So the rules of the game could be different depending on what type of agency you're running and what you're doing. But once you know what the rules are, what the constraints are that you have to work within, you can be exponentially more efficient in what you're doing. So figure out what the rules are of the game that you are participating in currently, and then you can start maxing it out.
I think that's a perfect way to end it. I wouldn't change anything about that. Peter, love you to death, brother. I will see you next week in Chandler, and you bet your ass I'm bringing a bucket of chicken.
Can't wait.
And delivering. This time we're going to get Jollibees, though. Screw KFC.
Deal.
Do you have a Jollibees close by?
Yeah.
I've never tried it. I want to try it. We should try it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.